Eric Paul's in here with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the top values here for NFL DFS Week 2. Now, I didn't even realize this until I literally just pressed record. Both of my cover photo athletes of the week here at 9 to 5 Sports are Bears players. I'm rocking a Packers sweater. I mean, what's going on here? Weird stuff going on. But honestly, they're going to be included in another video of mine, the Team Stacks video, because I kind of like the position that they're in, but it's mostly the fact that, well, the salaries came out on Sunday night. It was expected that the Bears would struggle against the Rams because the Rams are a good defense, and they didn't really struggle. So, I had David Montgomery as a top play on the board, and I think that's going to hold true. But I also think Andy Dalton's going to be a good play as well. Once again, I do want to remind you guys that for this video, I'm going to be focusing on players that are $1,000 within the minimum price at their specific spot. And if that doesn't hold true for that week, if we don't have any options like that, sometimes that happens with quarterback, then we'll adjust for that week. But we'll start off here with Andy Dalton. So why do I like Andy Dalton? I guess, if you want to continue with the revenge game narrative that we had last week with Sam Darnold, I guess we can. That worked out for us. But I don't know. This is just more of a price point thing. Obviously, he played on Sunday night, so they didn't really adjust for, the fact that he played decent. Now, it didn't really show up DK-wise. Not that much at all DK-wise. But had Justin Fields not gotten that red zone touchdown and had Andy Dalton gotten it, played well. That would have been a great score. Had that ball not gotten tipped like it did and then picked off, would have been a decent day for Andy Dalton against a good defense. So I'm really kind of hanging my hat on those two things. If you change that into a touchdown, just one of those into a touchdown for Dalton, that's good enough at this price point. Now he goes against the Cincinnati Bengals, who, Kirk Cousins kind of feasted on them as the game went on. He kind of struggled in the first half, and then second half, started to play really well. So they gave up the 12th most DK points, the Bengals did last week, to opposing quarterbacks. I think that's going to hold true once again here for Andy Dalton. Played much better than I expected, to be honest with you guys. I think Allen Robinson is going to have a better game as well, but for the most part, I think there's some value plays here as well, receiver-wise, that we can target in this game. I kind of want to start off with Marquis Goodwin. A little bit shocking there. He's projected to score 13.4 DK points, 7 targets, which I'm not sure I fully believe that. But that being said, KJ Osborne for the Minnesota Vikings had a pretty decent day in terms of like a value third end receiver on the roster. I could see that happening for Goodwin again, especially at this decent price point, 3.5. If you're trying to stack with Dalton, maybe even with David Montgomery, decent price point there for Goodwin. And then Hunter Renfrow really popping up there. Obviously Monday night, played well, produced. Same thing for Bryan Edwards here, who didn't do anything the whole game. Honestly, his ball skills really sucked in the first half on those 2 deep balls. Didn't adjust his body at all and was really like, what's going on here? Why is this guy on the field? And then we kind of saw at the very end of the game, which worries me as well, but he did come through. Played well at the end of the game. Maybe that leads to him getting some, targets force-fed his way. The Steelers did struggle defensively. I expect that to get cleaned up as well, but I'm not sure we can expect Goodwin to really get as much here as it's telling us, but I think he could get like 8 DK points, 9 DK points. So for a value receiver, we're good with that. We'll take that. Then I do want to mention as well, I'll type him in here to pull him up. Quez Watkins once again. Now, I honestly thought he was going to dominate the first drive. He had like 5.4 DK points, and then that's all he had. They started to go to Jalen Reagor, and they started to go to Devonta Smith. I think it was more or less that their numbers were called in those situations where they're doing like quick dump off passes, quick receiver screen where not sure if it was like a quarterback call, if it's just a run pass option or whatnot. Didn't really see that, but I think they're mostly by play design. So if we can get a couple of those again with Quez Watkins, I'm good with that. It just happened that the one to Jalen Reagor ended up being an easy touchdown play, and maybe that's because of Watkins blocking there and Smith's blocking. But at the end of the day, he looked good. got some targets, got some work. 3.2 is a cheap price point for a defense that did struggle last week against probably the worst offense in the league. So they gave up a lot of open plays, and maybe that's because they started to sell it for the run and whatnot. But at the end of the day, cheap price point here for Quez Watkins. He's a guy that is going to have some really big weeks. Just trying to get lucky and hit that 1 week that he does. If you guys watched the core plays video, you already saw that I'm going to be on James O'Shaughnessy here. I like him at his price point. Good price point. He's a guy that, you know, should get at least 2x, maybe 2.5x. I haven't projected to get 5.5x. I don't really believe that, but he did get targeted a decent amount in the first game. Projected to give him 6 targets in this one. I could see that happening, but a surprising one for me is Pharaoh Brown at 2.9 in terms of value. That is decent. He's going against the 3rd worst tight end team, which it's 1 week, take that with a grain of salt. But he was used a little bit more than I was expecting. He is a passing down tight end, and he wasn't really used that way. Well, he was. He definitely was, but he was used more in the receiving game than I thought he would, and I think anyone thought he would. So if he gets used like that again, possibly this is good value. Possibly be one that you could, maybe game stack. If you're trying to load up on Cleveland players, you could run it back with Pharaoh Brown at the tight end spot to kind of punt, I guess, if you will, but you're also trying to stack that game, and I don't mind that approach for someone like Pharaoh Brown. But that's kind of all I have for you guys. I do have one, kind of sneaky, I guess, running back play. I don't really love it, but it's going to be Devin Singletary. Now, Singletary, like he never looks horrible, but he never looks great at the same time. Obviously, on his big runs, an NFL running back is going to look good, but as a whole, just another guy. But he did beat out Zach Moss, apparently, who is also just kind of another guy running back wise. He didn't look bad. He was fine. Had like 14 opportunities last week, which, he's projected to get a little bit more than that in this one, just kind of given the matchup with Miami. I could see that happening. 15.8 DK points. That's probably a little bit too much, but I could easily see him, 2x in here. So if you're trying to find, a third running back for your flex, a safe running back for your flex, it could be Devin Singletary. I do think he's going to get like 10 DK points in this one, which I'm good with. I'll take that. If you're trying to close out your build, it's kind of more of a shoulder shrug play here for him. I will say Chase Edmonds, didn't have too many total opportunities as well, but given the game flow here with the Vikings, I kind of expect that to be a little bit of a blowout. Not a blowout, I shouldn't say, but the Cardinals should beat them, and that should lead to a little bit more usage on the ground for Chase Edmonds, 7th best matchup. I'll take that. I'm fine with that. So Chase Edmonds also not a bad value running back play if you have to go that low, although James Conner didn't look that bad. It didn't really show up DK wise. But that's all I have for you guys for the value plays. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely make sure to check out that core plays video if you didn't. And then I also will be having the fades and team stacks video out for you guys later this week. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you guys had a good week 1, and hopefully you guys have a good week 2 as well. That's all I have for you guys. Let's have a good week. And as always, let's keep cashing.